Hello and welcome to the first live ET Career Talks. It's our attempt to help you reach your career goals through learning and mentorship. I'm Aloni Bhatt. Now, for this very first live interactive session, we have with us Saichithra Swaminathan. She's the Chief Product Officer of matrimony.com, and she's going to speak to us on product management lessons, how to build your career as a product manager. Now, in her own words, Saichithra chose to be at a place where she could make a difference, be a big fish in a small pond, when she joined, which is now matrimony.com. And at that time, many years back, it was Tamil Matrimony. An engineer from Sastra, she was one of the earliest employees, and she's managed various segments and roles at the company. Saichithra, it's wonderful to see you again. Welcome to ET Career Talk.
Hello, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot.
Saichithra, let's just dive into our conversation. You're currently the Chief Product Officer at matrimony.com. Give us a sense of what your day is like. What are the top priorities for your role as a CPO?
First of all, I'm sure many of you here would know, matrimony.com is in a very unique product domain. We get people married. We help people find their life partner. So we take lots of pride in the product that we have because, millions of users trust our platform to find a life partner and take the biggest, the most important decision of their life. So trust me, product in Matrimony is kind of the nucleus of the entire organization. And here, I always say this, right? So for us, the mission and the vision of the company is simple. We want every customer who comes to us to find the right partner, right? So what happens is matrimony as a domain, matchmaking as a product is like very emotional in nature. It's not very transactional, right? People they don't just come with a very clear spec. Hey, fine. It's not like, okay, I'm going to buy this or I'm going to travel from A to B. It's not like that, right? So people come with some specific set of expectations. Sometimes it might be too broad, sometimes it might be too narrow, sometimes it can be really aspirational, and they come on board. And what happens, they go through a very emotional journey because they spend good amount of time with us, maybe 9 months, 12 months, like that, right? So, and each customer is very unique in what they want, and every day their emotional ups and downs the product has to take care of. Like with somebody, for example, when they register, they have lots of excitement, and when they contact someone, they always have a hope that they're going to get a positive response. And when they get some kind of a not so good a response, they feel probably not so great. So the product has to handhold the customer through the entire emotional journey, try to explore matches and their behavior and the ecosystem both changes. So it's kind of a very exciting thing altogether. So what keeps me busy on my toes with respect to product priorities is this: how do we keep driving product innovations to take our customers one step closer to their right match? This is the most important priority that I have and my team have. And we always validate whatever we come up with as an idea, as a strategy, or whatever. We always think in this angle: is this going to move my customer one step closer to the life partner? If so, yes, let's go ahead with that. And with respect to how I function, it's kind of very interesting. My team is completely remote. Majority is remote, 80-90%. So I have people sitting across the country, right from deep south in Chennai to Bangalore to Hyderabad, even to Dharamshala and Odisha. I have people across the country. So we are truly Bharat. So what happens is I need to spend enough time brainstorming, having huddles with my team, trying to figure out various strategies to meet the organization's OKRs. So we are an OKR driven company. I strongly believe that the product OKRs need to be quarterly, because year long is it's very long, right? We are in this era of things changing so rapidly, so you cannot have a year-long goal, according to me. So for me, what is my priority is product innovation. How do I ensure that I am working on the key OKRs for my team, for the organization as well? And also, in terms of how do I work with my team in growth hacking, some of the things related to profile engagement, acquisition, and whatnot. And also looking at how to drive this whole matchmaking towards a futuristic goal, because we believe it or not, generations are changing, things are changing around us, and there are lots of technology innovations that are happening. So it's very important for us to always stay ahead of the curve. We have to be relevant to the generations to come. So it is important for us to keep ourselves up to date, have a strategic long-term focus. So that is like kind of a very, very important goal that I also focus on. So we keep questioning status quo. Is this how we should be doing? Why not we do something very different? Is the generation that's going to come, say 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, you going to use matchmaking the way it is now, or is it going to be something else? If so, what is that? So these are some of the things, and identifying the white spaces, in terms of what we should be launching. For example, we recently launched Techie Matrimony because we found that techies want something very special for them. And we also launched something called Rainbow Love very recently on September 6th, which happens to be the Indian Pride Day, for the LGBTQ community, for helping them to find a partner, because we found that is a white space. There is no exclusive Indian player in that kind of a space. So that is also one of my top priorities in terms of how do we identify new white spaces, which can help us come up with new products, which helps the community to find a partner or a life partner, and also helps the organization as a whole for expansion.
Wow, it sounds very, very exciting. And I have a few questions, based on what you said. But Sai, you were actually, you moved from the tech side to the product side, right? Like, so how did the transition actually work out for you? This would be very interesting for a lot of people who are in the tech side of things, and want to do something different.
So that's a very interesting thing, right? So if you look at good old days, right? Product was very new at that moment, so there was a very thin line between product manager and project manager, that time. People used to do both, and so at one point of time, I had to do this transition because I got the opportunity of building some products from scratch. So I thought maybe I should try to learn more on products. So it was quite a bit of an effort because I need to switch off my techie mode and get into the product mode. The biggest challenge is when it comes to product, you conceive something, you become very aspirational, you become very excited. Then the reality strikes hard. Okay, in technology, how are you going to implement this? Is it going to increase my load time? Is it going to put so much of effort on the queries or the NoSQL server? Is it going to probably hamper the performance metric, or is it going to increase the infra cost? We don't know, right? So the thing is, like, it is always this or that. So I realized this hard. So when I did the transition, there is an advantage. You understand the technology landscape, so you would be able to probably estimate the effort that would be required with respect to your prioritization, etc., in product better, because you understand the technology world. At the same time, we have to draw a demarcation very clearly that, okay, hey, now I'm wearing my product hat, so let me not be concerned about the implementation challenges, because then otherwise it's very easy to give up. Oh my God, this is going to be too much of a tech effort. Let me just not get into this. So on one hand, you have the MVP kind of jargons to work on. On the other hand, even the MVP might become a technical challenge. So we need to know where to switch on the techie mode, where to switch off the techie mode when we are working in product. I think that is the secret sauce.
That is the secret sauce. Okay. And, now how long have you been doing product for Match?
More than 10 years.
Wow, a whole decade, right? So have you like literally managed to switch off the techie side of you, now that, you're so immersed into product?
Yeah, so I activate it only when required. It is like backup memory. So I use it when I need it. Like, for example, if I'm into a timeline discussion with any of the core engineers and I'm negotiating on something, that is when the antenna goes up and I say, hey, you know what? I think this is possible like this. So other than that, it's always a sleeping cat, quiet and boxy.
All right. Let's shift gears back to, the product side of things. Speak to us about the role of a CPO and product managers, especially in today's organization, how it has changed, say 10 years ago, what it was, and how have you seen the shift?
10 years ago, I think it was all about features. Everything was about features. How do we build more features? How do we build good to have features? How do we go after too many things? And I think that time, this whole UX as a concept was like very, very, very early stage, right? So we do all that we know is UI. We know features, then we come up with UI, and then we ship it, and we are happy about it. But I think some of the things that have happened in the recent few years, maybe 5 years, 6 years, or maybe 2-3 years. Number one, all of us know is like data-centric approach has become very key. I think there is always an urge to look at the data to even decide whether it's required or not required, not blindly going with gut or intuition. That's the first big change, pre and post. And the second big change I see is this UX as the whole thing has emerged. Earlier, all the UI guys used to call themselves as UX, and even now people do call sometimes. It's a different story. But UX as a theme, how to work on the user experience, whole part. There's a very nice definition. I read it somewhere, right? So I love this. What is UI? What is UX? People used to ask me this, right? So if you're buying a car, right, all the structures, like how you navigate, how you move your gear, how you move your steering, like, these are all UX. If you look at what color the seat cover should be, what color should be there for the ambience lights, that is UI, right? So there's a very nice, cute definition. So I think the whole UX part has evolved, in terms of people, coming up with customer in the center, and trying to build product features or journeys around that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I did catch, about how earlier everything was about, UX UI was little known of, and this is something that has kind of come up in the last couple of years. In your view, now, what would you say makes for a great product manager?
So, I think this goes again to the previous the question's answer that I was trying to give. I think now things have changed with respect to product management. Devil is in the detail, so we will have to be more detail oriented. We'll have to look at each and every detail to ensure that we are doing right to the customer. And second one, it's very customer centric. So the product manager has to have an eye for customer, put himself or herself into customer shoes to think on how to build a product. And also I think there should be an urge to experiment, risk taking. We should never be scared of taking risk. It is okay to experiment and fail than assuming that it will not work and keeping quiet. So I think that experimentation methodology we have to follow, and the mindset should be there. It's okay, let me go and experiment. Have all the safety nets in place, have all the data, whatever is to be validated, etc., and go ahead and experiment, get customer insights, validate both hand in hand, not one at the cost of other. And I think the whole concept of design thinking in terms of like, it's not about just what you see and what you try to conceive. It's also about the whole process of design thinking. If your customer is going to come to you, what are the phases through which your customer is going to come to you, and what are the phases pre and post? All of this need to be looked at. And the most important thing is, I think, while you do 0 to 1 and all sorts of product launches, something to be kept in mind is speed of execution. I think that's very important. It's always very important to balance with the right speed and quality, because sometimes in the urge of making it too perfect, we end up losing the time. And when the time gets wrong, or when you delay it too much, when you miss the bus, then there's no point in going ahead with the product itself. Sometimes it loses its focus, or somebody would have captured that space. So that is there. So I think in the nutshell, what are the things that a product manager would require? Devil is in the detail. So should have an eye for detail, should be data centric, should be ready to take risks, should have the experimentation mindset, should be very open to customer suggestions, and insights, spending time with customers. And the most important last trait that I want to cover is never shy away from learning from peers and competition. There's nothing wrong in learning from others. It is important. We have this very common framework, right? We always say it in our company that you should always, it's okay. I mean, good things can be learned, inspired by others. Get inspired, imitate, innovate, and then improvise. It's fine. Take the feature if you think it's really nice, improvise on it, or try to add more innovations to it and launch it. And the most important trait that a product manager should have is with respect to what to have and what not to have in the product. I think that's really important. Always there is a problem of plenty. There is no dearth of ideas, but then everything is not required by the customer. The customer would not pay for everything. The customer would probably be interested in only 2 or 3. So we call it in the product methodology like this, right? What are the killer features, leader, and fillers? You should know what are the most important features for which the customer is willing to pay. That has to be there. That is a leader. But if there are good to have features, and if you think they are fine, and if the customer is not going to pay for it or not going to value it, then I think they can wait. They don't have to be part of the MVP. So that understanding in terms of prioritization, what to go first, what to go second, what is no longer required in the roadmap, these are important traits that would practically be very handy for a product manager. So these are some of the channels that I think is important.
All right. Sai, looking back at your own journey, as a product manager, can you talk to us, say, about a success or a failure, that you might have had, but, from the one from which you drew, lessons which still hold you in good stead as you go about making decisions?
So all of us learn day in and day out, right? So for every one of us, it's a learning. For example, if you take in my own case, one big thing that I learned is you can design a feature or a product the way you want, but end of day, how the product is going to be used by the customer is in the customer hands. Not everything can be predicted by us. That I realized hard because we go through all these sessions, right? We look at how the customer consumes the product, etc. Interestingly, we see that in many cases I'll give you a very good example, right? So I have seen this in one of my interactions with some of my fellow folks in Twitter. I'm quite active in Twitter. So Twitter built this favorite or shortlist long back. I'm sure thinking you're going to favorite a tweet because you want to use it later, right? It's a very typical use case. I'm sure a product manager would have thought through. But then what I realized is in my circle, when I put a mention to you, right, you will do a favorite. And that is to indicate to me that you have read the message or read the mention. That's a very typical.
That I like it. Or that I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So look at it, no. So I say, hi, Miloni, good morning. And then you favorite it in Twitter. There's no reason for you to favorite a mention. But you still do it because you don't want to reply to it because it does not require a reply. But then you want me to know that you've read it.
Yeah.
And Twitter doesn't have acknowledging it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very, very different use case, but customers are using it like that. Similarly, in our case also, we see that when we build something, what it turns out to be when in the customer hands might be slightly different. So we take that feedback and then we try to apply that back into our product. So I always learned that go to your customer when you are in doubt, because the best results will come when you build something which the customer is actually seeing as a product or as a need. So this is the most important lesson. The second important thing I would want to call out is like when we had this pandemic and all of that, like it was kind of very overwhelming. We didn't know. I mean, suddenly it threw lots of challenges on us, and typically on the product side, if you look at, the team became distributed completely, and we had no clue how to manage it. I mean, suddenly the entire team now also, like, while things have come back to normal, my team is totally distributed even now. But that's for a different reason, because I am more comfortable now with this structure. But it became a big challenge. Then I realized the one big lesson that came to me is that 4DX, a very, very precious word, I would say, 4 disciplines of execution, right? How do you drive execution? That became a mantra. In fact, that became a boon to me by having the right kind of weekly goals. What we did is very simple. I learned hard way that when you have too many things and when you're working on quarterly goals, things are not going to be easy. Till the last month or last week, people are going to run from pillar to post and nothing will be done. So what we did is we made it very small weekly goals. Like this week, all of us will do this. So every week we'll have a weekly huddle and we will see if we are on track. What we realized is those weekly goals, they actually rolled up to monthly, and then the monthly rolled up to quarterly. And we were bang on targets, So it's a very small thing, but when it is coming to execution, these precise, goals, cadence of accountability, having the weekly huddles, discipline of 10 minutes meeting, all of this helped. This we learned hard way. In fact, I was not that process oriented earlier. I used to be more of go-getter, but more ad hoc, right? Then I learned, okay, fine, this is how it works. And now if you ask, maybe it doesn't matter to me. Like, my team is completely remote, but I have zero compliance because I know even now when I'm talking to you, I know my weekly product is getting done because tomorrow or this Friday I have a review and I'm sure it's going to be complete, So I think that is one big lesson on how to juggle with things and use processes to manage your execution and also improve your speed. I think that is because many of us have this notion, processes, if you put too many, then it will slow down. But if you use the right process in the right time, in the right way, I think it will only help you to improve your speed. This is one hard lesson that I learned.
But it's a very interesting lesson and applies to journalism as well. In fact, it would apply to a whole lot of other things, if you were to sit and think about it. Sai, let me take the opportunity to ask our audience to, key in their questions if they have any, so that we can take them, as we kind of continue our conversation.
Sure.
Please, everyone, whoever's watching, write in if there's anything that you'd like to ask Sai, anything related to product, how you should go about building your career as product manager. Whatever your questions are, do write it in the Q&A. But Sai, I'm going to actually preempt one of them. How does someone go out and kind of build a career as a product manager? You have given us some set of skills, some that you said you learned the hard way, some that were ingrown. One, I think, is risk taking. You're a huge risk taker, and you're not sort of fazed by failure, which a lot of people are. But in terms of advice, what would you say are the skills that are necessary? What kind of background, in terms of a degree, that all of these people who want to build a career in product should really aim for?
Okay, that's a great question. So I'll answer the last part of the question first. So I think with this, from my experience, what I've seen is the combination of having an engineering background because you understand technology slightly better, and having on top of it a management post graduation really helps because they get to know both sides of the world. So they'll know how to handle the business stakeholders. Also, they'll understand data and analytics better. They'll also know the tech side better because these are important to negotiate with their tech folks, to plan sprints, to carry out execution or roll out products, all of that. It also helps in terms of building any product from 0 to 1, doing a cross-functional collaboration, end-to-end owning things, stakeholder management. There's so many things that come into play, and I think this might be a good kind of a combination, I would say, for a product. And what is the most, there are many things which we spoke about, right? Like looking at data, having that analytical mindset, experimentation, always having an eye for customer, talking to customers, not shying away from learning from competition. These are all there. But I think the most important thing, if somebody is looking to get into product, as passion is one single word, I would say. That is this popular thing that I always keep saying to my friends. When you have a hobby, you do it with so much passion, right? When you love it, like for example, if you're drawing, if you're a singer, or you love photography,
which I believe you are.
Yeah. I do all
and a photographer.
Sorry.
And you enjoy photography.
Yeah. I do. Yeah. So what I was trying to say is that when you do these things, right, how much excitement you get, how much you feel happy about it. You feel so stress-free, you feel so happy, top of world when you do something which you love. If that passion is there in you for building products, that is the most important thing. Everything else will fall in place.
Okay. Things have changed, right? 10 years ago and today, processes have evolved. The way we look at things, that has evolved. Customers have evolved. A lot of personalization is being demanded. With the changes that are being sort of brought in by technology, with the way the world is changing, you set out the tenets, which these students require to be product managers. So what is the sort of advice that you'd like to give to them, especially when it comes to sort of navigating the changing nature of work?
So as you mentioned, yeah, the technology advancements are happening. One thing is there are humongous opportunities with lots of domains that are coming, including the NFTs of the world, metaverse, crypto. There's so many things that are coming, new technologies, and we don't know what is there in store for us. There are so much of things that are happening in that area. So there's humongous opportunity on one side, and the other side, I think the customers are also getting very tech savvy. The generations are changing, and the attention span is going down. Unfortunately, no one has the patience to read or go through long paras. So we always say this, right, to our content writers: if your content is not catching the attention of the customer within 6 seconds, then you're lost. Because people don't have the attention span as before. There are too many notifications in an Android tray. You're not going to be bothered about that, and you have so many apps. Or at any point of time, more than 12 apps a person doesn't use. So if you have to compete with those kind of apps which are like throwing lots of content at people with notification, etc., you have to be really having the strong understanding of how to talk to your customers and how to drive this. So the customer part is also changing. It's not that ecosystem is changing, technology is changing, customer is also changing. So it's important for the people who are coming into product to have that in mind. All these are changing equations. So we'll have to see how to fit all of this together. And this will be a continuous process, we like it or not. So updating ourselves, keeping ourselves up to date with respect to the emerging technologies, emerging product streams, what is happening in consumer mind, what is happening in content strategy or in marketing automation. These things are important. Otherwise, there is going to be no time where it's going to be like, okay, I have learned something, now let me relax. It's not going to be like that. The target is always going to be running faster than whatever is our speed or your speed. So it's important to keep up the momentum, otherwise we'll get outdated. So I think that is the most important thing. And one thing I always think is important to keep in mind is sometimes it becomes very very probably tempting to hop from one role to another, one company to another. But I think it's also important to keep this in mind. If you are going to the depth of whatever you're doing, because when there is a depth in what we are doing, whatever we are learning, that experience will become a lot more useful when you're switching to domains or when you are changing also, than having shallow experience of just 6 months to somewhere, 1 year somewhere like that. I think it is important to have that in mind, because that will not just help the organization you are in, it is also going to help you in a very big way for your future career and prospects. So that is one note I wanted to add.
All right, and that's really good advice, especially for everyone now, because 2 years, 3 years, and people are hopping from one role into another. But this is excellent advice. We have one question from Vijay Ganesh, and he asks, there can be many features and attributes which customers want at the same time. So how can you decide which are the features to focus on?
Great. So there are multiple ways in doing it, but I'll tell you one of those ways, which is handy and mostly adopted by many product folks. So this is the popular prioritization logic, right? So whenever there are multiple things that the customer wants, we try to put a score against it. We try to look at what is the impact. So it's called I-score, right? So we look at what is the impact of that particular feature. What is the confidence level that we have with respect to that feature or that product yielding that result, and what is the ease of implementation. So higher the score, better it is. So it is at a scale of 10, 1 to 10, and higher it is, better it is. So what will happen is we will look at impact and ease of integration and the confidence, and based on that we try to rank them in the descending order. The ones that have the highest scores, they will see light first.
Okay, all right. I have a few questions which have been emailed to me, Sai. I'm just going to go through one or two of them. Can one become a CPO without being a product manager? What's the difference between, I think, what's the difference between a CTO and a CPO?
So I think there is a very thin line, and some companies manage it differently. So, I mean, the own ways in which companies manage. I've also seen product organizations where a product role or product roles, they roll up to a CTO. That's also there. And there are many companies where there is a pod structure where the tech and the product folks work together as pods, and they keep delivering. So it really depends on the organization, the style, the working style, whether it's at a pod level or whether it's individual streams, etc. So the difference between a CTO and CPO depends on the product line, depends on the organization also, and to some extent on how the structure of the teams are organized, whether that's tech and product folks are working as a pod, or whether it's like independent streams with their own hierarchies and stuff like that. What was the first part of the question that I didn't understand?
Can one become a CPO without becoming? Can you become a chief product officer without actually becoming a product manager?
I think it again, it's a very tricky question, right? So it depends. I think, in my view, a product experience is important, it's required, because it might be very tough otherwise to handle it. Unless until somebody decides to start a product from 0 to 1 and want to take somebody with maybe prior marketing or analytical background or technology background into a product role. But it is, I would not call it as impossible. It is possible, but there are some ifs and buts.
Okay. All right. I've got another question which has just been sent to me. Is there anything that students should be aware of before they make a decision of going down the product manager path? And the other one, Sai, if you want to take that one first, is, which are the products that you've developed that you're most proud of?
Okay. So the first question, I think I have told about many things, right? Like whatever I had mentioned, I think I've answered it in the multiple forms and ways, so I don't want to repeat that. The second part of the question, yes, there are multiple products that we have worked on, but one product that is very close to my heart is Jodi. So Jodi is the vernacular app that we launched last year, November, just 1 year old baby. And it's a product that we have launched for the common people who are in a different socioeconomic status, like auto drivers, delivery boys, maids, cooks, people like that, and it's very close to my heart, because right from this is a typical 0 to 1 product that we work, and I have personally done lots of interviews to many people, and my entire team, it was a brainchild of product team. So when we did this, why it is so close to heart and why we are so proud is, this segment has been so long deprived of an option to find a life partner. There were so many compromises in that segment of people, like especially women. They were forced to marry somebody because they did not know where to go and find a life partner. They had problems with respect to financial status, social security, livelihood, etc., because they had to compromise. And I think that problem is now solved, because Jodi is very affordable, and it suddenly opens up so much of opportunity to them to actually choose a life partner of their choice. For that segment, I think it is very, very big. So this product is very close to our heart. In fact, when we see people who have got married and when they send us pictures of theirs, we feel really moved.
You also mentioned the product that you launched for the LGBTQ community. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What's been the offtake like? How has it been received? Any insight?
Yeah, sure. So this is very interesting. So what happened is, like a year back, there was a person again in Twitter who DM'd me asking, that person is again from the Pride community. I have been knowing them for quite some time. So had asked me, like, no, you guys are leader in matrimony and you have a product for everyone, but why not for us? Why is it that there is no product for Pride community? Then it was kind of, striking hard, like, okay, yeah, this is probably a very valid question. And if being a leader, if we are not doing it, then it's problem. Who else is going to do it? So then we decided to, do a customer research, because this is a very new product to all of us, including me, right? We had to build something really useful for the community. Otherwise, like, it's not going to serve the purpose. So the user research itself went for 8-9 months. We had spoken to tons of people in the community. And one interesting thing I wanted to share is, when we started working on this product, the UX person we had, the primary UX person we had, who had worked on this product, came out of the closet and mentioned that they also belong to the Pride community.
Oh, wow.
So
that's immensely empowering.
Yeah, so we felt really, really so happy, and the entire app was built by them. And in fact, that launch also, the key UX designer was part of it. And in fact, after that, this UX person, they felt that maybe the remote working might not be so great. Let me move to Chennai. And from Hyderabad, they had moved to Chennai permanently, and now part of my Chennai team. So we felt so happy. What more you need than seeing a live testimonial of how inclusive we have been. It was kind of made my day. And the product was very well received. We launched it. It's a new standalone product completely. It's called Rainbow Love. And we have ID verification mandatory there to ensure that safety is taken care. And it is it's been getting a good amount of traction. And we see lots of people in Instagram and all of that mentioning about it. It's in the early stage, but I think we feel so happy that we were able to launch it exactly on September 6th, which happens to be the Indian Pride Day.
All right. Many congratulations to you and your team.
Thanks a lot.
Sai, and more power to be able to launch such products. I've got one more question which has been sent across, and this essentially asks that do women make good product managers? What sets them apart?
Why not? That's a great question. So I think women there are some inbuilt traits that we are gifted with. First one is, I think, that EQ part, right? Like emotional quotient, I think, is very strong. So it kind of becomes very natural to look at customer seamlessly, put ourselves into customer shoes. If you take my own example, right? We always all of our PVCs, all our product positioning, everything is generally targeted towards women, right? So for me, that becomes an advantage. I would be able to relate better with it. So when my team also, when someone wants something to be validated, they generally approach me asking, can you just check this? Can you let me know whether this is fine? So definitely that emotional quotient adds lots of value. The second one, I think we are very good in intuition. So to some extent, I think we naturally get things right. So that helps in terms of making some judgmental calls at times. The third most important trait, I think we are great multitaskers at home also, right? So what more you need? Multitasking gives you lots of speed and power. So yeah, I think they're great.
All great superpowers, so all the women out there who are dreaming of a career in product, please take a leaf out of Sai's book and just go for it. She's been shining for a decade and she's going to continue to shine on. So, go out there and leave your mark. Sai, it's wonderful. Thank you so very much for speaking with us, for giving us your time and, some lovely insights into your day, into what makes a good product officer, a good product leader, and why it's a great career for women. Thank you so very much. And, more power to you.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure is mine. Really loved interacting with you and all of the participants as well in terms of the question answers. So I really loved it. Thanks a lot. And keep inspiring and keep motivating and spread positivity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sai. Well, to all our participants, thank you so very much for joining us. We are going to keep having these kind of mentor sessions. So do log on. We'll have another one in about 2 weeks, and sign up for the details. Thanks very much. Sai, good to see you again. And once again, all the very best.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.